All right, page 86 in your textbooks. You did the homework 1 through 11, and one of the things we've been working on the last couple days is finding percent. And I said to find a percent, you got to start by making a fraction. That's all a percent is anyways, a fraction, right? It's another way of writing it, but it's a fraction. So we want to take the part and put it over the whole. Or the terms we use, what do we call the part, class? The percentage. And we want to put it over the whole, but there's a fancy name for the whole, class.
Base.
The base. All right, so we want to put the percentage over the base. So on number 1, what fraction do we have to start with, Corey?
16, wait, no, 80 over 125.
80 over 125. How many started with that fraction? 80 over 125. Now, Corey, I think, based on something you started to say a minute ago, you divided a 5 out of the top and bottom. Am I right? And that gave you what new fraction?
16 25ths.
16 25ths. And when I see something like 25, I know it's really easy. Remember, what's the goal, class? To get what?
100.
Percent, which means hundredths. So we could then turn right around and multiply by 4 to get what new fraction?
64 over 100.
6,400. So obviously, what is the percent we're looking for?
64%.
64%. Do you have to go through all that? No. If you don't mind the long division, you could put the top dog in the house, you could put the 125 on guard outside, and you could divide it that way. You would get 0.64, which would be 64%. But if you can see a little bit of this manipulation of the fractions to make your life a little easier, I think the numbers work out easier for us. How many, regardless, though, got the 64% on number 1? All right, number 2. What fraction do we need to start with, Paige?
17 over 25.
17 over 25, and there's no reducing, but I mean, this kind of reminiscent of the last problem. What we can do is,
Multiply that to
and what new fraction did you get?
68 over 100.
And therefore, 68 hundredths becomes,
68%.
how many also had 68% for number 2? All right, questions on that? Number 3, what fraction do we need to start with, Sam?
9 12.
9 twelfths. And you can reduce that down.
To 3/4.
3/4. Oh, wait, we've memorized 3/4 as a decimal.
Yeah, I just times by 25.
I mean, you could, but we've memorized 3/4 as a decimal.
It's 0.75.
0.75, and then all we gotta do is boink, boink, and what do we get?
75%.
75%. Though you're not wrong. I mean, you multiply top bottom by 25, 75 hundredths, 75% would have worked great. Regardless of how you did it, how many got the 75% on number 3? Now, I want you to look closely at 1, 2, and 3, class. Look at the first number in each case. Now, look at the second number in each case. Do you notice that the first number was always smaller? Does it have to be? No. What if the first number, the percentage, is bigger than the base? What does that mean for my answer, Jalen? It's going to be bigger than 100%, right? In this case, all my percents were smaller than 100% because all the first numbers were smaller. But it is possible to get something over 100%. Number 4, go ahead and read that problem for us if you would. Kirsten.
Super Electronics is having a sale on microwave ovens. If the sale price is $270 and the original price and the original price was $360, what percent of the original price should be paid?
All right, what percent of the original price? Now, remember I told you this, and you can kind of see it over there on the poster I held up yesterday. Remember I told you the base is usually preceded by what word, class? The base is usually preceded by what word? Of. Let me hold it up so the camera can see it as well. Since y'all didn't get it, they apparently didn't either. The base is usually preceded by the word of. Now, if I'm given the percent and the base, finding the percentage, right? We just say of means multiply, multiply. But that word of tells me which one the base is. Look at that last clause after the comma, right between the comma and the question mark. Read it again for us if you would. Kirsten? Between the comma and the last question mark.
What percent of the original price should be paid?
What percent of the original price? That's your base. How else are you going to tell which one's the base, right? What percent of the original price? The original price is apparently the base, and conveniently, class, the base goes on the bottom. Much like, any of you watched like cheerleading competitions, or you've seen cheerleading groups and they do mounts and stuff, and there's people who hold up other girls. And okay, the people at the bottom are a person or persons at the bottom are called the bases, right? And then the flyers are the ones who go up the higher and sometimes get tossed or whatever they do. Okay, so the base at the bottom. Okay, the base is the 360. That's the of. Okay, and then the part of the base, the part of the original price that you're paying, class, is how much? $270. Did we start with this fraction on the word problem? We hadn't had a chance to do word problems together yet on this, but does it make sense now if not? What's the easiest way to reduce these really quick, class?
10. 2.
Knock off the
Zeros.
zeros, which basically means, yes, divide by 10. Knock off the zeros. And then I should still see some common factor that can divide out of 27 and 36, class.
9.
How about a 9? Right? These are on our 9 times table, so that'll reduce it down to what? 3/4, which we know as a decimal class is 0.75, so we know as a percent is, class 75%. Now, think about this for a minute. They didn't ask this. It said, what percent of the original price should be paid? Well, we're obviously going to pay then 75% of the original, right? What's the sale then? They didn't ask this. But what percent off are you getting if you're paying 75% of the original? Sam? 25% off, right? They didn't ask that, but that's what you're getting off is 25% off. We're going to be looking at that here in just a little bit. Number 5, read this for us if you would. Michael. I don't get you to read very often. Michael, read about Sophia.
Sophia bought a used couch on sale for $80. If the original price was $200, what percent of the original price was paid?
Wow. I don't know. I mean, my wife and I bought a used couch. But I don't know about an $80 used couch. I'd be a little suspicious of what you're getting. Like, that could be a great deal, or that could be like, I don't know about an $80 couch. That's just life tip. Like, I think we spent $600 on our used couch. It was regularly like over $1,000, and we didn't want that. We don't want to pay that much. But yeah, $80 for an original price couch of $200. That's a really cheap couch. I don't know. Something seems odd. Anyway, that's not my place to critique the problem. It's just our job to find what percent of the original price was paid. What fraction should we make here, Michael?
80 over 200.
The part that you're paying is the 80. The original was the 200. How many had 80 over 200 to start? And then, of course, we can reduce very quickly, class, by knocking off
The zero.
just these two. Not that one, right? Because it doesn't have a friend to cancel with. But those two can knock off. 8 to 20. And then we can reduce that even further. Or we can just multiply top and bottom, class, by
100.
we can multiply by 5 if we wanted to get 40 hundredths. Or if you reduced it down, you could get 2/5, which becomes 0.4. Either way, class, we get what percent? 40. Oh, careful. 40% ends up being our answer. You pay 40%. Okay, I'm going to ask the same question. If you pay 40%, or Sophia did, if Sophia paid 40%, what percent did she save by buying used, Jalen? 60%. I'm not even thinking 60%. Right? You see how that works? Whatever percent you pay, the other percent is what you get off, right? Earlier we saw the discount where we're given the percent off. What percent do you pay? We're kind of doing it backwards on these particular problems. Questions on 4 and 5. Let's see, number 6. It says 80% more than. When we see percent more than, what do we got to do, class? Add to what? 100%. So it says 80% more than. What percent are we really talking about, Luciana? On number 6, Luciana, since it says 80% more than, what new percent are we going to need to use? 180%, because we're going to add, as we just said a moment ago, to 100%. And that 180% of the, 4? 180% of 4 means we're going to multiply what times 4, Luciana?
4 times 1.80%.
I'm just going to say 1.8 because I'm too lazy to write the 0. It doesn't matter anyway since it's after the decimal point and not, it's after the last written number. And what do we get for our answer on number 6? 7.2. Number 7, class, it says 12% less than. When we see percent less than, class, what do we got to do? Subtract from what? 100%. So it says 12% less than, Ben. What actual percent are we talking about here on 7?
88.
88%. So we're going to take 88% of the 460. Of course, that means we're going to end up multiplying the 460 times what then?
88.
Well, make it a decimal.
0.88.
0.88. There we go. Move that decimal. Remember the decimal's at the end. Move it 2 places. 0.88. And what do we get for our answer on number 7? Uh-oh. Elaine?
Let's see, it's number 6. No.
Number 7. Pay attention.
7.
I know it's Friday. I know we're tired. Okay, hang in there. Hang in there with me.
404.8.
404.8 is correct. Number 8. Do we need to add to 100% class?
No.
Do we need to subtract from 100%?
No.
Do we need to do anything with 100%?
No.
No, all we got to do is what of tells us to do, and it says to multiply. And when we multiply a Griffin, what do we get for our answer?
46.9.
46.9 is correct. Number 9, quick fraction review. What did you get for your answer here, Bryson?
1/3 or 1/3.
1/30th is correct. Gotta get that common denominator. Number 10, there was some canceling we could do, including the 13 and 26. How many saw that 13 and 26 could cancel? How many are like, oh, are you kidding me? Yeah, we didn't learn our 13 times tables. That's sneaky. What did you get for 10, Paige?
8/25.
8/25 is correct. Number 11, class, what kind of fraction is that?
Well,
Well, it means division, but what kind of fraction is it?
Compound.
Complex fraction. Not compound, complex. I'm getting English class all mixed up there. Complex fraction. And it really, though, is what kind of problem?
Division.
Division problem. But do we really divide?
No.
We multiply by the
Reciprocal.
So we're going to change it to 25/3 times 9/5, Corey, and we get 15 for our answer. Was anyone perfect on the homework? Several of you today. Anyone just missed 1? Anyone just missed 2? Are there questions that we haven't gone over already or something you're still a little bit confused on? Again, the point of the homework is to give you a chance to work things out on your own like you would on a quiz or test, but without the pressure of it being graded. So, gives you the chance. I had to do this on my own. There was no Mr. Nadaski to help me. Could I figure it out for myself? If you didn't, let's get those questions answered now. Any questions on the homework? All right, flip back to flip ahead to page 89. Flip ahead to page 89, and I want you to do the review, 21 to 28. Page 89, the review at the bottom of the page, 21 to 28. Once you finish, stand next to your seat. Once you finish, stand beside your desk. you need to flip back, look something up, that's all right. Can't do that on a test or quiz, but you can during classwork. Michael's finished. Eli not far behind me. Okay. Both senses of the word. Corey. Page. Sam. Took about a minute and a half to be finishing up. Good, Jalen. Good, Ben. All right, go and have a seat. And let's take a look at these together. And Michael was first. Michael gets first crack at this. Number 21, it says a $40 meal is on sale for 15% off. What's the discount? What's the sale price? If they did not ask for the discount, the quick way to do this would be to say, hey, if you got 15% off, that means you didn't pay 100%. Class, you would have only paid 85%. But since they asked for the discount anyway, we already have to use the 15% to get what discount amount?
$6.
$6. So if we've already got the 6, we might as well just subtract 40 minus 6 to get what sale price? $34. How many had a $6 discount and a $34 sale price? Questions on 21? All right, let's go to number 22. 12 is what percent of 150, Michael?
8%.
8% is correct. We divide 12 over 150. You might reduce by 3, get 4/50ths, and then double back to get 800ths or 8%. Or you could just divide it out. Number 23, 9 is what percent of 3, Michael?
300%.
300%. Let's face it, it's 3 times as big, right? Every 1 time as big is 100%, so 3 times as big, 300%. Could have done that without any math at all, or start with fraction 9/3, which is just 3, 300%. Number 24, we should not have done any math for this one, class. 64 is what percent of 64? 100%. How many have that one? We better have. All right, number 25. What is 1/3 as a percent, Michael? We might have had to look this one up. I don't know.
I think 33 and 1/3%.
33 and a third percent. Think about what 1/3 is as a decimal. It's 0.33333 blah, 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 forever, right? So if you go point, point, that becomes 33.333 blah, blah, blah. Or you could say 33.3 repeating percent. I would take that, but the better answer is, what is 0.3 repeating? 1/3. So 33 and a third percent. Again, that Shark Tank reference. Yeah, I'll give you X amount of hundred thousands of dollars for a 33 and a third percent stake. They want to be that perfect 1/3 equity partner. Let's see, number 26, just some routine addition. What did you get, Michael?
4,143.
4,143 is correct. Number 27, some routine subtraction.
22.7821.
Good, 22.7821. And for the candy, 102.5 times 3.4.
348.5.
348.5 is correct. Anyone else perfect, just not as fast as Michael? A few of you. Anyone just missed 1? Anyone just missed 1? Anyone just missed 2? Are there any questions on these problems? Yes, sir.
Always 24.
We said the answer together as a class, Michael. What did you put for 24 before you eat that airhead?
10.
Oh, you're kidding me. Give me that thing. Class, 64 is what percent of 64? 100%. It's all of it. Oh, well, at least you were honest about it. All right, let's see. Who was second? Lane, but you didn't get them all right, did you? Third was Corey. Did you get them all right? All right, so Corey with the candy today. If it's all of something, right, then it's 100%. Oh, man. All right, flip back to page 85. Flip back to page 85. Let's take a look at just a couple word problems here. Page 85. Look at word problem number 10. Read number 10 for us, if you would, Luciana.
Number 10 earned $30 for cleaning Savings house. She put $6 of her money in savings account. What was the percent of money she put in her savings account?
At your seats. What percent of those earnings went to savings? She earned 30. 6 of that 30 went into savings. What percent is that? And Paige, what you got?
18.
Not 18%. What fraction did you make?
30 over 7.
Uh-oh. Put the part over the whole. The whole amount she made was 30. The part of it that she put into savings was 6. So flip that over and say
6 over 30.
6 over 30. What does that reduce to, class? 1/5, right? I mean, or 3, you could say 2/10 as well, but 1/5, divide the 6 out. What is 1/5 as a decimal, class? 0.2 and go point, point, and we get 20%. She put 20% of her money into savings. How many had 20% for number 10? Read number 11 for us, if you would, Sam.
Jacob Nelson bought a pair of shoes on sale for $50. If the original price was $55, what was the percent of the discount for the shoes? Round to the nearest whole percent.
Don't you love it when it says round to the nearest whole percent? Because that tells you it ain't going to work out evenly. But enter C. Find what percent of discount he got. They were on sale for 30. They had originally been asking 55. What was the percent of? Oh, that's sneaky. Percent of discount. Class, hold on just a second. If the shoes were, excuse me, no sir. If the shoes were selling for 55 and he paid 30, what was the discount? They were supposed to be $30 shoes. He only paid, or $55 shoes. He only paid 30. What was the amount of discount, class? No, what was the amount of discount?
Oh.
First of all,
$25.
$25. That was sneaky because they didn't give you that number. The amount of discount was $25. Does that make sense? So the $25 is the discount. The 55 is the original. Do you see that? Not 30 over 55. It took me a second to realize that. I was like, original, wait, what was the percent of discount? Oh, the sale price over the original isn't going to give you that. You got to figure out the discount over the original to get the percent of discount. If you put 30 over 55, you're finding what percent did he pay. Does that make sense? So let's put 25 over 55 and go from there on number 11. Sneaky problem there on 11. Take a moment, divide it out. I mean, you could reduce first. What should we perhaps reduce to, class? 5/11. We're just going to have to divide, aren't we? Add some zeros. How many times 11 go into 50? 4. With how many left? 6. How many times 11 go to 60?
5.
With how many left?
5.
How many times? 5. How many times does 11 go into 50? 4. Is that big enough to round this up? So we'll say approximately, what percent, class? 45% off. Now you say, Mr. Dasky, what if I wasn't paying close attention and I put the 30 over 55? Well, of course, that'd be 6/11ths, wouldn't it? And you would have, when you divided, you've gotten, this goes in 5 times 5 left, 4 times 6 left, 5 times bumps it up. You would have said about 55%, but that would be 55% paid, correct? And kind of harking back to what we looked at in the last word problems that weren't actually asking, if you pay 55%, what's the discount? 45%. So I guess you could have gone at it that route as well. That would have worked. Questions on finding percent? All right, clear your desk except for a clean sheet of paper and a pencil. Clear your desk except for a clean sheet of paper and a pencil. We've been working on this finding percents and percent more than, percent less than. Your chance to show off how well you've got it. Clean sheet of paper, pencil. Everything else away. And this is quiz 7 for those watching on YouTube. Quiz 7. Quickly. Good, row 2 is ready. Row 3 is ready. Come on, row 1. Come on, Jalen. All right, first last name in the name spot. Today's date in the date spot. Today is 10/6/23. 10/6/23. Today's date. 10/6/23. Today's date. Let's get those passed back there, and then we'll take a look at the quiz together. All right. Numbers 1, 2, and 3. This is a modified true-false section. If it's true, write true. If it is false, if it is a lie, fix the lie. Don't write false. Don't just call it out. Actually fix it. Correct the statement. Replace the underlined word with what should go there to make it true. For numbers 4 through 8, you are, well, 4 and 5, there's percent more than, percent less than stuff. 6, 7, 8, you're finding the percent. And then for numbers 9 and 10, a couple of word problems. Make sure you read them carefully. Be sure to show your work. You may begin. For number 2, another way you could interpret the beginning of that statement is, if you wanted to find a percent, would it be equal to blah, blah, blah? If you're trying to find a percent, is it equal to blah, blah, blah? That helps you on number 2. Is that how you find a percent? Do you do what it says, or do you do something else? If you do what it says, write true. If you do something else, tell what you do. You're working on another project, did you? our cover sheets. The answer's covered. Just a couple more minutes to be finishing up. Working quickly but accurately. Go collect those from you this time. And if you would, go and take out your textbooks. I'll come by here from you. They're on your desk for now. We're going to take out your textbooks. Turn to page 86. Get your textbooks, turn to page 86. And really not going to be doing anything new today necessarily, just making sure you understand a way to look at things. Page 86, we're continuing to find percent, but we're going to look specifically at something called percent of change. Percent of change. For instance, if Ben were to grow 3 more inches, he's already taller than the rest of us. You already, most of you, have to look up a fair bit to see him. Now, I would notice, because I'm pretty much eye to eye with him, I would then be looking up. Okay, so I would notice the 3-inch change. Most of you really wouldn't notice too much because he's already so tall. 3 more inches on top of already tall, whatever. If somebody is shorter, Paige, for instance, were to grow 3 inches, we would all very much notice, wouldn't we? Because her height is lesser, so the same 3 inches on Paige is a much bigger percentage of her natural height, or current height. Does that make sense? Percent of change is important, right? If this school were to add 50 students, that would be an enormous change for this school, because we're only running around 150. That's a third of what we're already doing. If a school that's running, say, 2,000, one of the larger public schools, were to add 50 kids, no one would even notice. It's the same amount of change, but it's a very different percent of change. I want you to write this down in the side margin of your book. Percent of change. Just write this fraction. Change over original. Change over original. That's how you're going to find percent of change. Now, problems might tell you to find percent of change. It might tell you to find percent of growth. It might tell you to find percent of increase. It might tell you to find percent of decrease. Find the percent of drop, whatever. When you're finding a percent of change in some way, the formula, if you want to call it that, is simply a fraction. Class, say it with me. Change over original. Make sure you memorize that. What is it, class? Change over original. Now, here's the key. You might be told what the change is. I might come right out and say, Ben grew 3 inches. That's the change. I might say the school grew by 50 people. That's what the change is. Or I might tell you, for instance, I might tell you that Paige was 60 inches tall. Now she's 63 inches tall. How would you figure out what the change is? Class? You have to subtract what she is minus what she was, right? Or if I said that Grace Christian School has 200 students, it used to have 150. What's the change? 50. And we get that by doing what? Subtracting. So a lot of the time you're going to have to find the change, but sometimes they'll just come right out and give you the change. Regardless, what's our fraction, class?
Change over original.
Thank you, Kirsten and Echo. Change over original. Look at page 86 at the bottom of the page. There is somebody had 15 oranges, and a little bit later they had 20 oranges. What's the change, class?
5.
What's the original? 15. So they're going to put 5 not over the 20, but over the 15. You got to pay attention to what's the original. 5 to 15 is 1 to 3. That's a 33.33% increase. Look at the next page. Something was originally 10 inches. Now it's only 8 inches. Maybe it's a pencil. 10-inch pencil. After a while of using it, it's now 8 inches long. Sharpenings and such have taken their toll. All right, what's the change, class? 2. What's the original? 10. 2 tenths becomes 20 hundredths becomes 20%. Decrease. Notice how I told them to label, was it increase or decrease? Well, obviously, class, if it's getting bigger, that would be increase. If it's getting smaller, Sam, that would be decrease, right? So that's pretty easy. Look at the next problem at the bottom of the page. Washing machine used to cost $3.15. Now it costs $3.50. We call that inflation. All right, so it used to cost $3.15. Now it costs $3.50. Well, if we want to find the percent of change, we got to first find what is the change. Well, from $3.15 up to $3.50, how much did it go up?
35.
$35. What was the original?
315.
$3.15. So we put the $3.15 or the 35 over the $3.15. Kind of follow along their work here. They reduced it to 7/63. They reduced that to a 1/9. That's 0.11111, or in other words, 11%. And notice the price went up. So class, we'd say it's 11% increase. Look at the next page. Joel's store sold 250 boxes of cereal in May, but in June, Only 230 boxes of cereal. Class, what's the change?
20.
20. What's the original?
250.
250. Now here's the fun one. They may not always list the original first. You may have to actually think, wait, which comes first, May or June? January, February, March, April, May, June. Okay, May comes first. The original's 250. So notice what they did. They put the 20 over the 250. They bumped up some zeros to get 2 25ths. I would have multiplied top and bottom by 4 to get 800ths, which gives 8%. Is that 8% increase or decrease, class? Because the total went down, right? Do we see how to do that? In the few minutes we have left, I want you to do 1 through 7, the odd, on page 88. Page 88, 1 through 7, the odd. If you have to divide it out and it doesn't work evenly, just round to that second decimal place. So that way we round to the nearest whole percent. Doing numbers 1 through 7, the odd numbered problems. Change over original. Now they're awfully nice here. They wrote for most of these what the original was. Change over original. Tell you what, for sake of time, just make the fractions. Don't worry about getting the percents, just get the fractions real quick. I want to make sure we can do that much. Homework, you'll do the whole process. We're short on time. Number 1, class, what's the change? $9, right? The price went up $9. So whatever our percent is going to be an increase. What's the original?
25.
$25. If we multiply top and bottom by 4, we'll get 36 hundredths or 36%. And since the price went up, that's a 36% increase. Number 3, what's the change, class? 80. What's the original for number 3?
500.
500. I'm going to do a quick reduction, knock these off, but I'm going to go back and multiply the 2 to get 16 hundredths or 16%. And did the enrollment go up or down?
Up.
It went up. From last year to this year, it went up, so that'd be 16% increase. Look at number 5. I don't know what these wagons are. Maybe these are like little red wagons they sell at Christmas time. Yeah. My son got a little red wagon for Christmas a couple years ago. And so originally they were selling 40 wagons. Maybe the next Christmas, pandemic hit, nobody has money for wagons, and they only sell 24 wagons. What's the change, class?
16.
Over the original?
40.
I can divide a 4 out to get 4/10ths, which multiply then the 10 back in and be 40 hundredths or 40%. And class, that's going to be 40% decrease because they sold fewer wagons or whatever the wagons is. I kind of made that part up. Number 12, last test, 12 students made A's. This test, 15 students made A's. What's the change?
3.
What's the original? 12. What does that reduce to? 1/4, which we know is what decimal? 0.25. So we get 25% increase because more students made A's this time than last time. Questions on percent increase, decrease? I know you didn't get to practice it much. You'll get more practice in the homework. Page 90, numbers 1 through 13. Page 90, numbers 1 through 13. We'll work more with that in our next lesson. We'll also take a look at your quiz that you took today in our next lesson. Of course, that'll be off camera. But page 90, numbers 1 through 13. Once you got that written down, you are dismissed. Have a wonderful rest of your day.